Hi, everyone. Today is Wednesday, January 24th. My name is Gayle. I am a recovered Al-Anon and will be leading this meeting. We want to welcome everyone to our Al-Anon Big Book Recovery meeting. This is a step speaker meeting that meets every Wednesday night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will study the 12 steps by using the precise instructions out of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous as they relate to us as Al-Anons. Let's get our meeting started. This is the original AA preamble written by the AA Grapevine describing the fellowship in 1940. We studied the preamble with an open mind and open heart to consider how it applies to Al-Anon. This helps us to stay focused on the message of recovery the pioneers intended while observing the traditions in action. Through the actions taken based on the instructions of the basic text, we comprehend what the pioneers meant when they described the membership of AA, which is that they worked a program of recovery and they no longer drank. In our case, we no longer obsessed over the alcoholic. Through continuous action and study of these principles, the understanding of the value of the original preamble reveals itself. We ask for your humble consideration of our sincere admiration of the pioneers of Alcoholics Anonymous. The simple hope is that we of Al-Anon will grow into some clarity and unity that birthed the original 12-step fellowship. Without them, after all, none of us would be here. Okay, the original AA preamble. We are gathered here because we are faced with the fact that we are powerless over alcohol and unable to do anything about it without the help of a power greater than ourselves. We feel that each person's religious views, if any, are his own affair. The simple purpose of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is to show what may be done to enlist the aid of a power greater than ourselves, regardless of what our individual conception of that power may be. In order to form a habit of depending upon and referring all we do to that power, we must first apply ourselves with some diligence. By often repeating these acts, they become habitual, and the help rendered becomes natural to us. We have come to know that as alcoholics, we suffer from a serious disease for which medicine has no cure. Our condition may be the result of an allergy, which makes us different from other people. It has never been permanently cured by any treatment which we are familiar. The only relief we have to offer is absolute abstinence, the second meaning of AA. There are no dues or fees. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. Each member squares his debt by helping others to recover. An Alcoholics Anonymous member is an alcoholic who, through the application and adherence to the AA program, has forsworn the use of any and all alcoholic beverages in any form. The moment he takes so much as the one drop of beer, wine, spirits, or any other liquid containing alcohol, he automatically loses all status as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. AA is not interested in sobering up drunks who are not sincere in their desire to stay sober for all time. Not being reformers, we offer our experience only to those who want it. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and on which we can join in harmonious action. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed the program. Those who do not recover are people who will not or simply cannot give themselves to the simple program. Now, you may like our program or you may not, but the simple fact remains that it works, and we believe is our own chance to recover. There is a vast amount of fun included in the AA fellowship. Some people might be shocked at our seemingly worldliness and levity, but just underneath there lies a deadly earnestness and a full realization that we must put first things first. And with each of us, the first thing is the solution to our alcoholic problem. To drink is to die. Faith must work 24 hours a day in and through us, or we perish. In order to set our tone for this meeting, I ask that we bow our heads in a few moments of silent prayer and a meditation followed by the Serenity Prayer. Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done. I wish to remind you that whatever is said at this meeting expresses our own individual opinions as of today and as of up to this moment. We do not speak for AA as a whole, and you are free to agree or disagree as you see fit. In fact, it is suggested that you pay no attention to anything which might not be reconciled with what is in the AA Big Book. If you don't have a big book, it is time that you bought one. Read it, study it, live with it, follow the directions in it, and learn what it means to be an AA. End of preamble. A sponsor is anyone who has had a psychic change as a result of working the steps and has a willingness to work with others. For those looking for a sponsor to guide them through the steps, please stay tuned and have your pens ready to record phone numbers immediately after the meeting. Each Al-Anon group ought to be a spiritual entity having but one primary purpose, that of carrying the message to the Al-Anon who still suffers. This is our primary spiritual aim. Our job as a group is to provide people with a place to learn about and work the steps. It has been our experience that working the steps consistently provides us with a better, saner life. We consider all else to be an outside issue. This includes personal problems. The proper venue for sharing such problems is with a sponsor. This is, after all, where the real recovery takes place in working the steps with a sponsor. We are just so glad we are all here, and we are all here because we are not all there. There will be a period of fellowship after the meeting. If you have questions or if you need anything, it will be after the meeting. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Last week, we discussed 7, 8, and 9, and I'm going to just do a little recap of those. So step 7, and this is all on page 59, it says, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Step 7 is all about humility. We obviously had a lot of shortcomings. We admitted we were powerless and that our Al-Anon behavior is something that we can't manage on our own. So step 7 is about humility. So up until now, we are reflecting on what we have learned so far. We also have a better and different relationship with our higher power. The relationship is closer because we are turning to him in everything that we do. It's not about us anymore. We have a different perspective of ourselves. We are coming to the realization that we cannot do this without our higher power. Before, we were just depending on ourselves and our thought process and for our everyday lives. And we know where that got us. Now we have our higher power. Now we have admitted our shortcomings. And now we have given it to him. And now we're asking him to remove it. Again, this is about humility. So step 8 states, made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. So here we had to make a list, and we had to choose all the people that we have harmed. Who have I harmed? How did I harm them? And at this point, we had to become willing to make amends to them, right? So what have we done so far? We've admitted that we are powerless. We have admitted that there was a higher power than ourselves. And we have made the decision to turn our will and our lives over to God. Then we had to make that moral inventory of ourselves. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being of our shortcomings. At this point, we were ready to ask God to remove all of our shortcomings. Then we asked God to remove all of those shortcomings and character defects or character defects. Now we're at the point where we've had our personal journey. All of that was part of our personal journey. 1 through 7 is personal, but step 8 is about the people that we have harmed. So this is where all of the real work starts. So then we made so let's go to step 9, and it states, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. We talked about humility in the previous step, and this is Al-Anon, and us as Al-Anons. It was really hard to admit when we were wrong. It was hard for us to look at somebody and say, I was wrong. And that just was our way of thinking. Now we have to make direct amends to those people. We have to face them and apologize for our actions, for our wrongs, for our character defects. We had to apologize for our way of thinking, which was very warped. We had to, and in doing this, and by thinking like this, we were harming a lot of people when we were thinking about ourselves. And so that's what this is all about. This is about making direct amends and cleaning that slate or that house cleaning, whatever you want to call it. But it's, as Al-Anons, we needed to make those amends to be able to move on. Okay, so today we are going to study 10, 11, and 12. And if you have your books, we're going to stay on that page 59, and we're going to read step 10. It says, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it. When we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So now we have our slate is clean. We have cleaned our slate, our past wrongs, and given it over to God. We have made amends where we were able to make those amends. Now the job is to keep it clean. So we maintain that house cleaning on a daily basis. It says in the step, when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it. It's not like the past where we would hang on to all of that and let it go, what we thought was letting it go, and not admitting we were wrong. So now we're at the point where we must admit when we were wrong right away. And when we need to do amends, we have to do it right away. The reason for this is that we're keeping it clean. We're keeping our life continuous. The past is already taken care of, and now we're going forward. We're living a different life, and that is something that we have to do on every single day, every moment. So let's turn to page 84, and we're going to read that first. Let's see here, the second full paragraph. And it says, this thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the Spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. In step 5, we started the process of admitting to God, to ourselves, and to another human being of our wrongs. Now we had to do this every day for the rest of our lives. This is something to keep that housekeeping clean. We must keep it clutter-free. So when we are going through our daily lives, if we're feeling any of those character defects, such as fear, anger, sadness, any of that stuff, we know that we need to stop and take it to God and then share it with our sponsor. And if we have caused harm to anyone, then we are to make amends right away. Through the guidance of your sponsor, because remember, they're there to guide us. They have been through this. They have been through the steps and learned how to keep that slate clean every day. So we're sharing this with our sponsor, and our sponsor is going to guide us. So when we're looking for that and we see any selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, or fear, that's when we need to stop and recognize. We need to share it with our higher power. And then we're going to share it with our sponsor. And then we're going to do this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to live this program and help others. And helping others as part of our step 10, and that is what this program is all about. Our sponsor helped us. Her sponsor helped her. And now it's time for us to help others. The one thing that you're going to hear a lot of as we're doing step 10, and the last sentence, love and tolerance of others is our code. And it also says in there that it's not going to happen overnight. We're going to have to continually practice on this. But when we're doing that, you're going to see your life change. We've had some spiritual changes in our life. Now we're going to keep that, and we're going to grow in it. And as we start feeling those resentments and dishonesty and selfishness, they're going to be more recognizable. And we're still going to continue to feel it, and we're still going to be angry. We're still going to be selfish. But this is all about keeping that slate clean. All right, so now let's turn to page 85, the very next page, and we're going to read that second paragraph. And it reads, "It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our power, our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will." Okay, so here we are talking about powerlessness, and we're going to be doing this every day. It is because we were powerless over this, and now we're going to be doing something different on a daily basis. And we're going to keep our higher power and all of that. This is our life now. We don't want to go back to the way things were, right? I mean, we're doing this work for a reason, to find that peace and to live that peace. So now it is our job in the program to make sure that we don't digress to what we were before. Again, there is a reason why we're here. There is a reason why we are seeking this program and this way of life. We don't want to go backwards. We want to keep the slate clean. We want to keep our housekeeping clean and clutter-free. So in order to do that, this has to be an everyday thing, an every moment thing. And in this paragraph, it says that we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities, right? So we have to be present with God at all times. We have to think to ourselves, how can I best serve you? The sentence that says, thy will, not mine be done, says it plain and clear. It's not about us anymore. It's not about us. It's about him. And it's about our higher power and how we can do his will. So let's go to the next paragraph on 85. It's a good transition from step 10 to step 11. And it says, much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from him, who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, we have begun to sense the flow of his spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop the vital sixth sense, but we must go further, and that means more action. By bringing God into our life and keeping him there, that's going to save us. So we are beginning something that still needs to go further. And keeping that flow, it says, of the Spirit into our life, our everyday life, we will begin to feel when things are starting to go awry. And this is very important, to have that feeling when we recognize when things start going back to the way that it was before. Recognizing that and taking care of it right away is going to be a new spirituality for us. It's, we're going to be taking that to our higher power, and it's a new spirituality, a new way of living. So you're going to have that relationship with your higher power. He is going to become your best friend. So we're taking all of this to him. We're asking him for guidance and strength. And he's going to guide us in all of this. And we're going to follow those directions. And this is what's going to keep us from going back to the way we were before. All right, so now we're going to go on to step 11. And if you want to turn to page 59 and read it with me, it says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. So how do we stay in this part? We're going to be doing a lot of prayer because we are going to be constantly learning and growing. Every day it's going to be that learning and growing. And by praying about it and getting the answers, we're going to stay in that spirituality. And by doing this, we have learned to live this program, and that the number one thing is having that connection to our higher power. So now we're going to be conscious of this on a daily basis. Every moment of the day, we're going to do a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, and then we're going to be growing with God. This prayer meditation, it's going to keep us growing into the program. And it has been proven time and time again that it does work as long as we're willing to put in that work and follow these steps. Okay, so now let's go to the bottom of page 85. It's that bottom paragraph. And it says, Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. It would be easy to be vague about this matter, yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. So what we're doing is we're praying for His will and to carry out His will. Remember when it said, "Thy will not mine be done." Our life up until now has been all about us. It's been about what we could gain. Our life is not like that anymore. We are living a life of spirituality. It's not about us anymore. We're depending on God to guide us. We're depending on that higher power. We are taking everything to Him. And in order to do that, we must be doing a lot of praying, and a lot of meditation. And we're going to learn how to do this with this step. We need to stay in this and be conscious of it. And by following the suggestions in this book, we are promised a solution. And it has been proven over and over again throughout the years that this does work. It really, really works. All right, so let's go to the first full paragraph on 86. And it says, when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something in ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving towards all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we must ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. So we're reflecting about the day. Throughout the day, what we are doing is when we recognize those defects, those that character defects, we're stopping right then, right? And we're asking God to remove it, and then we're taking it to our sponsor. But during this process in the night, what we're doing is we're thinking about all of that. We're thinking about the whole day. And was there anything that we forgot? Was there anything that might not have been taken care of? And so what we're going to do is we're going to reflect on that. And if we have anything, we're going to take care of it right there. And we're going to bring God into it. And, at night, we're going to be by ourselves and reflect on our day. So that is a time to think of these things. And there's going to be times when you forget. As we're doing our step 10 throughout the day, we're going to be thinking right now, was there anything that I missed? But the step 11, when we're reflecting on our day in the evening, our evening prayers, this is when we're getting everything else that could have been missed. So if we've missed something, this is when it's going to come out. We can reflect, we can pray, and we can meditate on these questions in this paragraph. Okay, so that is about our evening prayer. So now let's go on and talk about our morning prayer. Next paragraph on 86. It says, on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask ourselves to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. So when we wake up the next morning, we're going to meditate and pray about the 24 hours ahead, right? So what are we going to be doing throughout the day? At this point, we're going to be asking God for guidance. We don't want to get back to that, like it says in here, the self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking way of thinking. So we're at this point, we're asking God to guide us throughout our day. We're reflecting on our tasks for the day, what we're going to be doing throughout the day, and bringing God into all of that. Because we don't want to fall back to where we were. That's not what this is all about. We want to keep moving forward and keep growing. That's what it's all about. That old way of thinking needs to be gone. We're not going to be doing self-will anymore. We're going to be doing God's will. And here we learn that this way of thinking is going to keep us out of that old way of thinking, keeping God there. It's what's going to keep us growing spiritually with our higher power. Prayer and meditation. It says it over and over in this book. It's very important and keeps us in the relationship with our higher power. And it keeps us growing in His way of life. Now remember, we're going to be doing this for the rest of our life. And we're going to keep growing for the rest of our life in this. And what a glorious life it's going to be, because now we have our higher power right by our side. Now we have a solution, and we're keeping Him in all of our choices throughout the day. Okay, so we have our night and morning. Now let's talk about what we're going to be doing throughout the day. Let's stay on that same page, 86, and read the next paragraph. And that's the bottom paragraph. It says, in thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive through thought or decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we tried this for a while. What used to be a hunch, or an occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Being still inexperienced and having just made a conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our way of thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. So we've already gone through the acceptance. Now it's about admitting our character defects and being aware of that. In step 11, we're talking about having God guide us. Now, at first, that is not always easy. It's going to take practice. But by doing it and by living it, it gets better and better. We have to keep God in all of our choices. And there's going to be times that we react without God. That's why we have to revert to step 10 when this happens. After a while, He is going to be part of your everyday life, and things are going to become easier as we live this. So as time goes on, our higher power will be our way of thinking. It's going to be it's not going to be self-will anymore. It's going to be, it's not going to be selfishness. It's not going to be self-seeking. It's not going to be fear. We're going to be relying on Him to guide us throughout the day. Step 11 is about that meditation. It's about that prayer to keep God in all of our choices. Okay, so now let's turn back to page 59. And we are going to read step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. So step 12 has a whole chapter of its own. In this chapter, it's chapter 7, it's working with others. It's titled Working with Others. If you think about the help that you have received from your sponsor and the guidance that we receive through them, that's what chapter 7 is all about. Now we're going to be doing it. We're going to be guiding someone else through it. And just as our sponsor did, they guided us in going through the steps. And their sponsor has done the same thing, and so on and so forth, going way back. This is what it's about. So chapter 7 is titled Working with Others. Now it is our turn to help others. It is our turn to guide others. It is our turn to take the focus off of ourselves and help the Al-Anon who still suffers. So let's turn to page 89. And we are going to be reading the first paragraph there. And I'm not going to be doing the whole paragraph, we're going to do the whole paragraph. And it says, practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember, they are very ill. So here we are talking about carrying, just doing the same thing that we have gotten so far. We are talking about helping others. So, and our work is going to be helping others. And it states in this paragraph that, hold on just a second, that it states in this paragraph that as long as we're doing it, our 12th suggestion, we're going to bring this to somebody else. We're going to help somebody else who needs help. And helping the other Al-Anon doesn't mean specifically being their sponsor. You can help in other ways as well, like what I'm doing today. I'm here going through the steps again and hoping to help someone else. And it's intense and satisfying work. You also need to remember that when working with a protege, that this person was exactly where you were when you started the steps. And they are ill, just like we were. Now we're helping them get through it, just like our sponsor helped us. All right, so let's go to that next paragraph on that same page. And it says, life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is a bright spot of our lives. This part is so satisfying. When you are going through the steps with a protege, you are helping them go through the steps. So what are you doing? You're going through them again. It is an amazing thing to watch. It's also amazing. A lot of amazing things happen. You get to experience it with that person. So you're going to be part of something. It's a fellowship. You are going to gain friendships. And it is an amazing feeling to be around people who have been there, who understand. And it's such a satisfying feeling. It's like a little community for us, and it's actually a huge community. And the experience of this is a very beautiful feeling. And all of this as well is helping you. This is part of our program. And this is part that is, very satisfying. All right. So let's turn to page 90. And we're going to read that first full paragraph. It says, when you discover a prospect for Alcoholics Anonymous, find out all you can about him. If he does not want to stop drinking, don't waste time trying to persuade them. You may spoil a later opportunity. This advice is given for his family also. They should be patient, realizing they are dealing with a sick person. So we're introducing that prospect to the idea of Al-Anon, and in turn, we're getting to know them and what they're all about. Because when speaking to a prospect, not everyone is going to be ready, and not everyone is going to want to go through this program, and they might not even be qualified to do this program. Some may say they want to try something else first. So at this time, we're going to stop. We want people who are serious about the program. Some people may not be ready, and that's okay. But what we're going to do at this time is we're going to move on and help the next person. You don't want to push someone too hard on these. You don't want to push too hard on these people because you want to plant the idea in their head. So even if they say they are not ready, you're not going to push them too hard. You're going to plant that seed in their head, and maybe at a later time, they're going to come back after they haven't found a solution. So, all right, so let's go to page 91, and we're going to go to that bottom paragraph. And it says, when he sees you know all about the drinking game, commence to describe yourself as an alcoholic. Tell him how baffled you were, how you finally learned that you were sick. Give him an account of the struggles you made to stop. Show him the mental twist which leads to the first drink of a spree. We suggest you do this as we have done it in the chapter on alcoholism. If he is an alcoholic, he will understand you at once. He will match your mental inconsistencies with some of his own. So what we're doing here is we are sharing our story. And by doing this, that prospect or that person reaching out is going to be say, hey, yeah, I'm going through this as well. And they're going to realize that there are other people just like him out there. I mean, when we first came into this, I didn't know. I didn't know that there was other people out there. And by doing this and by talking to them and sharing your story with them, they're going to relate. And they're going to know that, through this program, they are going to find that solution. And that's what this is all about. All right. So now we're going to go to page 95. And we're going to go to the first paragraph. I'm just going to read the first part of it. It's actually mid paragraph. So it says, you will be most successful with alcoholics if you do not exhibit any passion for crusade or reform. Never talk down to an alcoholic from any moral or spiritual hilltop. Simply lay out the kit of spiritual tools for his inspection. Show him how they worked with you. Offer him friendship and fellowship. Tell him that if he wants to get well, you will do anything to help. And so here we're talking them through it and showing them what we did to find our solution. we're laying it out and we're showing them the tools and letting them know that we're here to help them through all of this. We can't force anybody to do something that they don't want to do, and we're learning that in our program as well. All we're trying to do is to help them and to guide them and to lead them. But we need to make sure that they know that we're going to be there throughout this whole thing, because it's scary. And that also that we're willing to go through this journey with them, because it's our program too. As long as, we're willing to go through this journey, as long as they are willing to put in the work and put this program above anything else. Okay, so now let's turn to page 96, and we are going to read that first paragraph. And it says, "Do not be discouraged if your prospect does not respond at once. Search out other alcoholics and try again. You are sure to find someone desperate enough to accept with eagerness that you offer. We find it a waste of time to keep chasing a man who cannot or will not work with you. If you leave such a person alone, he may soon become convinced that he cannot recover himself. To spend too much time on any one situation is to deny some other alcoholic an opportunity to live and be happy." So are we just going to stop there? So we're just going to stop there in that paragraph. So we are there to let them know that there is a solution. Some people are just not ready for that solution. Some people you will find do not belong in this program. And you're going to find that out by qualifying them with the steps or with the guidance of Chapter 3. And you will find out as you are talking to them and if they are ready for it or if this is for them. But we don't want to keep doing something that we realize is not helping. Again, the person may not be ready or may not want this program or maybe want to try something else. And that's why we're going to stop and we're going to say good luck to you and we're going to move on. And you've planted that seed in their head, and maybe later on after they realize that nothing else is helping, they may come back. But that is part of our program, even if we don't guide them through the steps. You've just planted that into their head. You've planted that seed. And they maybe just need to go out and find that, their own solution. But we want to help the ones who are desperate enough and realize that they need this. Okay. So now we are going to go to let's go to page 97. And we're going to read the first full paragraph on 97. I'm just going to read the top part of it, though, so let's do this. "Never avoid these responsibilities, but be sure you are doing the right thing if you assume them. Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery. A kindly act once in a while isn't enough. You have to act the Good Samaritan every day if need be." All right. So here we are again. We've started the steps. We started, we're getting a closer relationship with God. If somebody reaches out to you and is asking for help, take that on. We must put our program first. This part of our steps is our program. We are helping others. And that's what we said we would do when we started the steps. So sometimes it's not going to be a good fit, but you're going to still help them. You're going to still lead them. We are here for a newcomer. And, if it's not a good fit, you have that community to use to help that person find that person. And remember, we were a newcomer at one time, and helping others is our program. And this is all what this is all about. Okay, so let's turn to page 98. And we are going to go, let's see here. I'm going to go to that second full paragraph, the little tiny paragraph there. It says, burn the idea into consciousness of every man that he can get well regardless of anyone. The only condition is that he trusts in God and clean house. It says it right there. We're just trusting in God, and we're carrying this message over to other people, and we're keeping the slate clean, and we're guiding them. And that's what this program is all about. I mean, it's not, these steps are there for a reason. These have been done over and over and over again. So, okay, so I am going to close on that. And let's go ahead. It says, the seventh tradition, every group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. This group does not have a payment structure in place and currently requires no overhead expenses. If you would like to fulfill Tradition 7, please direct contributions directly to the Al-Anon World Service Office by visiting alanon.org. For questions about this meeting, or if you are looking for a sponsor, please send emails to alanonbigbookrecovery@gmail.com. Recordings can be accessed on YouTube by searching at Al-Anon Step Speaker in the YouTube search box. If you are interested in other Al-Anon meetings that follow the Big Book, please visit www.alanonbigbookssolutiongroup.org. Okay. A reading from the Big Book of 164. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we only know a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But you obviously cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and for countless others. This is the great fact for us. Okay, so abandon yourself to God as you understand Him. Oh, let's do that again. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Now let's have a moment of silence for Al-Anon, for the Al-Anon who still suffers, followed by the Lord's Prayer and a prayer of your own choosing, and said in silence. Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.